So I can tell you the story. There was actually a plague of geese on here, right? Yeah? That ate everything. That view you're looking at now, that was the view over there. You see where the willow trees are?
Yeah, I see that.
That area, at that particular point in time, when those pictures were taken, there were 200 geese on here, right? And they were causing incredible problems. They were doubling in numbers each year, right? 200, 400, 600, 800. And they were eating everything. That area had thousands of pounds spent on it. The first time they did it, they regrassed it because it was a quagmire. All the vegetation had been eaten. All the bank vegetation had gone, so there was tremendous erosion coming on. They tried to fix it by grassing it, and then it just happened again. As soon as they took the temporary fencing off, the geese ate the grass. And you know there's geese like on every water body in Bolton, and you go out, I bet you think, well, why was I specific was a problem here? And I'll tell you why, because it was a problem created by conservationists, and I was one of them. What we did, we're on a committee, and we said, wouldn't it be a good idea to have an island at Doffcocker so the swans can nest safely? So there is an island, which I'll show you later, past those trees. And sure enough, an island is produced, and when it was produced, the swans never nested in it, but all the geese did. And the geese actually learned that it was safe. So the normal controls that happen in like a lodge like this, where they can only nest at the side, they have to incubate for 6 weeks. So normally they get eaten by something. They get eaten by dogs, they get eaten by foxes, the young, or they get predated by children. So here, they've just got this safe haven. Then what happened, which was incredible, was that word got out that we got a nature reserve and we like geese, which wasn't true, we don't like geese at all. But it turned out that up and down the northwest, loads of people have got geese in sheds, right? What they do is rescue them, feed them up, and they have a pet goose. And when they heard that they could dump them here, they came like in droves. And one bloke, he'd been hiking in the Himalayas and he had a bar-headed goose, right? And that does the highest migration of any goose anywhere in the world. It migrates over the Himalayas. So we got a bar-headed goose, which is incredibly attractive. But then we got Emdens, right? Emdens are the white farmyard geese that the Romans used to use to protect their encampments. They're actually a lot better guard dogs than guard dogs, right? They're pack animals, and they've got this incredible let's work together ethic. They're a bit like us, really. And what they do, they crash the young. So what happens is when Emdens come into an area, as a defensive tactic so the young get through, they form a protective barrier with 8 to 10 adults on the outside, and then they have 40 chicks in the middle, and nothing gets at the chicks. But what we didn't realise would happen is that the Emdens talked to the Canadas and talked to the barheads, and they all learned to crash. So within a small space of time, like about 3 or 4 years, we've got the situation where we had these super geese with a super area to breed on, who weren't getting predated, who were very good at breeding. A lot of them were disabled, but that didn't stop their interest in sex one little bit, right? So although they couldn't fly, they were still having lots of babies. So I'll give you an illustration, because you know how meticulously I keep notes when you come and I take your names down and everything. I do that with, on the islands, when I was invited in to assist with control of the geese, when you're doing it, you have to record meticulously geese numbers and nests. So I'm taking you back now, we're going back to 2011, and I've got my figures here. We landed on the islands, and the first thing we stumbled across were the nests with 22 eggs in, right? Now geese lay 6 to 8 eggs, exceptionally 10. So why has it got 22 eggs in? And the thing was that we didn't know, but the Emdens crash at the egg stage, so they have a communal nest, sometimes with 2 or 3 adults sitting on it. So in total that year, we actually found 15 nests, and by the time the season had finished, we destroyed 176 eggs, right? Now get your head around this. At this time there was 200 adult geese on here. Those 176 eggs, because they wouldn't be predated, would become 176 adults. That's how it doubles, right? So that was the problem we were faced with. Geese are very long lived, so although we've been controlling himself, you find that a year later there were 169 eggs, so we're not doing a very good job. However, creeping forward, you find that by 2012 there were 135 eggs, right? Then a farmer come and he was doing the meadows and he said, can I recycle your geese? And we said, yeah. What do you mean by recycle geese? And what he's done, he rounded up most of the flock of Emdens, 30 of them, yeah? And he took them to his farm and he now uses them for egg production. And he's making them a fortune because he sells them for £1 a time on Bolton Market. And remember, he 176 eggs times £1, yeah? So, but that, all this, the diagrams, if you look at the diagrams, you can see what they had to do to combat the geese damage. They spent thousands of pounds putting in these, I'll show you, putting in these, this erosion control measures. They spent thousands of pounds on the fencing, and then that's been permanently on, and that's the only reason. Although now, the geese, as you can see, you can't see many geese yet. It's down to about 30, I'll tell you what it's down to, because I can tell you. Because the time we did the first control, 15 nests. This year, 4 nests, right? So we've got a 2/3 reduction, and the adults are down. So basically, grazing is not a problem now.